actually live? Yes, we are. It's me. It's actually me. I actually forgot that I'd been on camera recently with the Ruby video, the talking about Ice Queendom. Uh, I was like, man, this is the first time I've been on camera in months, maybe even a whole year. No, it was like 2 months ago. But it's me. I'm representing Link to the Past, St. Louis Blues. I don't care that the hockey season is over for us. Um, I always rep the Blues whenever I can. Um, got the pirate flag in the background, some Zelda art. You can't really see the little thing on my desk back there is a little Adam West Batmobile. Um, and we also Uno. We also have Doggo. Can't really see him, but Uno. I don't know if you can see him yet. Okay, go lay down. Uno has not been on stream or on camera with me in probably about 5 years. Probably since my Bioshock stream that I did very early on in my channel's history. Back before I knew what I was doing with my life at all. I'm actually gonna take a picture of him and post it on Twitter because that'll get people in here. Yeah, that'll do it. Oh god, the back of my hair looks so bad. Let me fix my hair a little bit. One of the reasons why I don't like being on camera is because it requires me to clean my room. But my room was actually already clean. For what I must have cleaned it at some point this week. I don't remember. I don't remember cleaning my own room. So the purpose of the stream is kind of just relax. This is my day off, and it's the first time I've had like an actual full day off by myself. No family business, no extra work, no nothing to do. The first time in over a month. It's been a month since I've actually been able to just sit down, breathe, relax, spend time with the dog, and just hang out with all you guys. So that's why we're here. I'm gonna tweet that photo. There. Hello, Fallen Red. Um, so I also kind of wrote myself into a corner here with the last video I did talking about opinions. It was a borderline incoherent rant. I had like 50 different titles I had come up for it. And it was a video, it was one of those videos that I had kind of been sitting on for a couple months. Like that, the notion that led me to make that video has been nagging at me for a very long time now. And I felt like it was important. It's not a video I'm going to ever be fully proud of because I feel like picking fights like that is a little unfair to everyone involved, including myself. Because, you look at that, if you were involved or saw, like, the conversations that inspired that video and saw them go down, you would think that I'm just being an asshole. That's not true, because Asshole Media is exclusively on Twitter, which you can follow at EA Mediocrity 4. I don't ever promote my Twitter on here for a reason. I'm an unruly bastard on that app. Twitter Media is a completely different beast from YouTube Media or Discord Media or IRL Media, because Twitter is my domain, my Twitter page, my Twitter timeline. That is my kingdom. Same thing with the Discord that I mod. When it's not one of those two platforms, I hold back, because I don't feel like it's my domain. Like, I'm very active on the Discord Tundra, which is run by people that I consider personal friends. Raymond McNeil, Dashy, Nick, Fatman to a lesser extent. I have nothing against Fatman. He's just, I never go out of my way to talk to him. We disagree on way too many things, both, real world wise and also media wise. Like, I respect him. He's a hell of a fucking editor. But not someone I can really hold a conversation with. The Tundra Discord is their domain. I play by their rules. You come onto my Twitter, you play by my rules. That's kind of how the same thing with my Discord, or to a lesser extent, because High Powered and Coop run the show, and they're even more unruly bastards than I ever could be. If you try to start shit with me on my YouTube comment section, I'm gonna go off on you. If you try to start shit with me on Twitter, I'm gonna put your ass on blast. You come after me on Discord, it really depends on which server it is. Like, whether I fight back or pull my punches. And a lot of the conversations that I alluded to in that video happened on the Tundra in voice chat, and one of them that just stayed in my mind for a very long time was, thankfully the person is no longer on there. It's the same person that tried to cancel Raymond McNeil over daring to have a bathhouse scene in Fixing Ruby, which I haven't watched Fixing Ruby Volume 6. Wait, is Fixing Ruby Volume 6 even a thing? Hold on. So I don't think I even saw Volume 5 either. Yeah, it'd probably help if I actually look up his YouTube name. No, Fixing Ruby Volume 5 was the last one he did. Or last one he released. I guess he's working on Fixing Ruby Volume 6. I have not watched Fixing Ruby Volume 5. I plan to, I just haven't had the time. I guess I could, this is just stream of consciousness, whatever comes to mind, whatever I want to talk about, I'm going to talk about. Rewrites are weird. I'm not completely against them. But at the same time, when they're good, or when they try to change a whole lot, or even when they don't. So the less they try to change, the more they are piggybacking off of someone else's work. The more they try to change, the more beneficial it would be to just make your own story. I like the way Raymond has been going about fixing Ruby, and I've talked to him about this. I even helped bounce some ideas off of him for Fixing Ruby Volume 3. because he tried at first to keep it as close to the original as possible, but all of those small changes have slowly built up over time to where Fixing Ruby Volume 5 only vaguely, or Fixing Ruby Volume 4 rather, because I haven't seen Volume 5, Fixing Ruby Volume 4 only vaguely resembled the actual Ruby Volume 4. And I imagine Volume 5 is going to be much different than the actual Volume 5. But it's also one of those things where he's kind of just trying to do something he thinks people will love, and that will enjoy, and that it gives a spotlight to all these brilliant artists in our community, many of which I am also friends with. And it's him kind of flexing his own writing chops as almost like a proof of concept for taking over a series at some point later in his career, which I would totally support. I think Raymond is a very good writer. I've read his book. It's not the greatest thing, but it works, and it emotionally resonated with me. Like, I think it was a very fine little novel he had there. And I'm looking forward to whatever else he's working on. I know he's working on his second book, but he's been working on that for years. Then again, I've been working on my book for about 4 years now, so I can't judge. Fuck, I've been working on the fucking quintessential quintuplet breakdown for like 2 years now. Fallen Red 111. I feel like that's a good thing, having a place where you can post what you want as long as you're owning up to it. Oh yeah, like I've been very at it because people have tried to like come after me for shit that Coop has said, and to a lesser extent like High Powered, but Coop's the really unruly one. He's the one that steps on people's toes the most out of everyone that's been on my podcast. I don't stick my neck out for anybody. Like, if you're my friend, I'll defend you as much as I think you need to be defended, but if you do something stupid or do something to piss people off, I'm not going to stick my neck out and be like, oh, he didn't mean anything like that. No. No. The people I surround myself with are a lot like me, and that they own up to the things they say, and they, I don't take responsibility for anything they say. They don't take responsibility for anything I say. And that's why we've had such a good, healthy friendship and relationship for all of these years. Funrana asked, would you say something like Ghost Stories versus Team 4-Star DBZ Hellsing Ultimate? Bridges are different because those are actual parodies. So, parodies are one of the things that are kind of like, at least in the American legal system, are kind of exempt from copyright status. And what Team 4-Star does is it's the same thing that Mel Brooks did with Young Frankenstein, where he just took the original Frankenstein movies and dialed the comedy up to 11. Now, Dragon Ball Z Abridged is a little weirder because Dragon Ball Z is already a comedy, and that's why there's not so much difference in the plots with Dragon Ball Z versus Dragon Ball Z Abridged. It's just the style of humor is different. Dragon Ball / Dragon Ball Z has a lot more gags because Akira Toriyama is a gag mangaka at heart. Always has been, always will be. So there's a lot of things like panty jokes, or the kind of Japanese pervy sense of humor, or good old-fashioned slapstick, or serious characters being like, "What are you doing, you imbecile?" to the hero who's just kind of goofing off. Like, that's where Akira Toriyama's wheelhouse is. Whereas Team 4-Star, it's a lot more dick jokes, meme references, the trash talking sense of humor, because that's a very American thing, is the trash talking humor. Look at any Adult Swim show from the early 2000s, whether it be Harvey Birdman, Aqua Teen Hunger Force, Family Guy, Futurama. Like, trash talking is an art form, and it's one that was perfected by uh, the West, and it's something that's not as prevalent in Japanese media or Asian media as a whole, because they're a typically more polite culture. Like, they don't like to trash talk over there in the East. Koopa's a good time so long as you can take the hits he dishes out. Yeah, that's how it used to be. Now it's just he's literally insane. He's told the story on a podcast before. I think it was when we talked about Rise of Skywalker, because that was the first video we did together after he went through surgery. For those of you who don't know, Coop went through a brain surgery where he actually had a chunk of his brain removed, and he's been so different ever since. Like, just so much more just shit posting. He was always a shit post meme lord, but he's gotten so much better or worse depending on how you look at it. I'm gonna share this. So I haven't like shared it around other places. So my original idea for the stream was to it was a couple of years ago. I did a State of the Union stream or something where I just talked about care. I think it was right as COVID was starting. I did that. And I was kind of wanting to do a little something like that again today. Because holy shit, there's a lot going on in the world that I haven't been able to comment on YouTube. I've commented on all of this stuff on Twitter on multiple occasions, but it's just not the same when you don't hear my tone of voice coming from it. So, for instance, where to even start? I just clicked back on Twitter, and the first thing I see is Kind of Funny tweeting, and is Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom a hidden gem in the Jurassic franchise? No! Fallen Kingdom sucks. Speaking of Jurassic World, though, I do plan on seeing Dominion as soon as it drops. As soon as I get a chance to watch Dominion, I plan on watching it. And I plan on doing a stream of Jurassic World Evolution 2 to talk about it, but I want to wait until that new DLC drops. The new DLC and the update that comes with it are, they're basically adding in a whole half a game's worth of content into that DLC. And it's going to be $20, which I'll take the hit to my wallet. That's nothing. I spend about that much on food every other day. Because yeah, there's gonna be new challenge maps. All the Chaos Theory maps are gonna have new challenges with them. There's gonna be a whole new Chaos Theory map for Dominion. There's going to be a couple new dinosaurs, including the Therizinosaurus, which is something I really wanted in the first game. Yeah, I think that comes out like June 14th. I think the movie comes out like June 10th. So that gave me a little while to gather up my thoughts. Yeah, June 10th sounds about right. That'll probably be when I see it, and then that following Tuesday. Tuesday is usually when games come out. So yeah. Yeah, that works. That works. That's a perfect schedule. Perfect little schedule for me. I plan on having Quint Part 10 out by the end of the month. Um, I am finishing up the audio on that tonight. I was trying to do it before I started the stream, but then Todd in the Shadows had to release a video, and that there went that extra half an hour I needed to finish up the editing. Todd in the Shadows is really good stuff. I've been following his channel for about 10 years now. Father Ren said something about refusing to port Bloodborne to PC before Spider-Man. That is odd. I don't know why. Because you would think Bloodborne would be easy because FromSoft already has a dedicated PC fan base. But I get that Spider-Man sold more. Like, let's actually look that up. This is one of the things I love about having this setup and doing streams like this is I can actually look stuff up without using my phone. Spider-Man PS4 sales. $3.3 million copies in the first 3 days. If I look up best-selling PS4 games, maybe that'll give me a more accurate number. Says Spider-Man at 13.2 million, making it the fourth best-selling PS4 game of all time, behind Uncharted 4, Minecraft PS4 Edition, and God of War. All of which I have bought. Then where's Bloodborne on this list? And then Bloodborne's at 2 million. So financially, it makes sense. No, you're talking about Spider-Man made 6 times as much money as Bloodborne, and is newer, and so would better benefit from a PC release. I find it odd that Sony is just now jumping on the PC bandwagon. I go back and forth on exclusivity. Exclusives are what sells consoles for me. But timed exclusives work. You know, that if a game is, you know, say 4 years old now, that's how old Spider-Man is. If a game is 4 years old, then you're not really losing the console war by releasing it on PC. Especially since you got the PS5 now, like you have a whole new console that you're trying to sell, and kind of, in my opinion, failing. Like, the PS5 has been selling really well, apparently, but there is a artificial demand by way of artificially low supply. And so far, like, it's been out for over a year, and there's no exclusives that I can think of that are system sellers. Like, you had the Demon's Souls remake, which is a remake. You had the new Ratchet and Clank and the new Horizon, which I think are also on PS4. Elden Ring, which is multi-platform, including PS4, I believe. And then like a bunch of re-releases and stuff of, again, PS4 games, like Miles Morales, Last of Us 2. And let's look up PS5 games. PS5 games. Alright. Horizon Forbidden West. I'm pretty sure that's also on PS4. Ghost of Tsushima, that's definitely on PS4. I have it. Ratchet and Clank. Deathloop, Elden Ring. Miles Morales. Never heard of Turbo Overkill. Gran Turismo 7. 10 years ago, Gran Turismo would have been a system seller. After the botch release of Gran Turismo 6, I think that franchise is kind of poisoned. Returnal, which is another Deathloop type, like roguelike game. Demon Souls remake, Uncharted Legacy collection, Hitman 3, Final Fantasy 7 remake, Resident Evil Village, Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Yeah, like over a year, almost 2 years into its production or into its life cycle, and nothing. Hi Akbar Ali. Color Red says not even just Spider-Man for PS4. It's a remastered version from what I saw. Yeah, I mean that's typically how it works. So they'll upscale it to 4K or whatever. Um, make it worth the second purchase for people who are into buying games multiple times. Uh, Also, you'd have Elden Ring fans wanting to try Bloodborne if it released on PC due to that game selling over 10 million in the first week on PC alone. I have a lot of opinions on Elden Ring that I would love to get to. I've made a couple of them clear in my 2 streams that I've done on Elden Ring and on my video about Elden Ring's lore. I could go on and on about Elden Ring though, for better and worse. I think it's a masterpiece, kind of, um, with some very serious flaws that just piss me the fuck off. But Elden Ring is FromSoft's most successful game. And I've said this before, and it's been said by multiple people. It is all at once their most accessible game and their most difficult. It's got their most difficult challenges in it, but the way it's structured and the way it's an open world and the way you can kind of grind out enemies and the fact that it's so massive and there's not as much like outright backtracking the way there is in Bloodborne and Dark Souls makes it a lot easier to grind out levels if you are having trouble. And so I think a lot of that, along with George R.R. Martin's name recognition, has contributed to Elden Ring being the most successful FromSoft game of all time. As far as like Bloodborne goes, I know for a fact. Okay, so Lightning in My Hand, who's a friend of mine on the Discord and stuff. You might know him if you're on the Discourse, then you definitely know him. But if you're not, then get on that. But he is a huge FromSoft fan. He loves Elden Ring. He loves Dark Souls. He's played Demon Souls, I believe. He has not ever played Bloodborne because he never owned a PS4. Never owned a PS4, so he never had that chance. And he's lamented that, and he's talked about it. Like we've talked about this before in chat and stuff. That like as soon as Bloodborne gets a PC release, he's getting it right away and playing it. And I just found it funny that I've played a FromSoft game that he hasn't. I've even streamed a good chunk of it. Funny thing about Elden Ring's numbers as a Dark Souls 3 player, their average modern day player count for Elden Ring is the same as the peak for Dark Souls 3 players on release. I don't know about the active player base numbers. I would need to look into it and context matters. I've always said that. So Elden Ring's difficulty is something that I've struggled with rationalizing because this is going to be a hot take. Elden Ring is not actually difficult. And the reasons why it's as difficult as it is are bad reasons. I said this a little bit when I was playing Bloodborne on stream years ago, and I'm pretty sure I've talked about it when I played Elden Ring as well. Uh, FromSoft's approach to difficulty is typically to stack the deck, to give enemies large health bars, do tons of damage, and give them bullshit mechanics in what they can do. You see this a lot, and people have actually made mention of this. The fact that there's a lot of attacks, particularly in the late game of Elden Ring, that can one-shot you even if you have 50 vigor. I think I topped out my character, before I beat Malenia, I'll say. Because that was the final boss that I was doing on that first raw run. Malenia was two-tapping me and I had 60 vigor. Where she lands two good attacks, she kills me. Before that, Radagon, Godfrey, the Fire Giant especially. I had like 50 vigor fighting them. Well, anywhere between like 45 and 55 vigor fighting them. And they were one-shotting me. If a boss is truly difficult, then it would not matter what your stats are, they would remain difficult. Malenia is a legitimately difficult boss because she has two mechanics that make her, actually I guess three mechanics that make her very difficult. The first and most obvious one is lifesteal, which is a mechanic that is, I won't say common, but I've seen it in other games before. The first one that comes to mind is the original God of War from 2005. The Ares boss fight, the final phase of Ares' boss fight, you share a life bar. You both start off with half health. And it's all about building up the momentum, blocking, dodging, landing consecutive hits without him hitting you. Because every time he hits you, you lose health, he gains health. Every time you hit him, you gain health, he loses health. I like that teeter-totter mechanic that boss fight had. It's one of the most ingenious, and I won't say ingenious. It's one of the coolest boss fights in the entire God of War series. Malenia, I think, breaks a cardinal rule of that by being able to recover life while blocking. That is an unfair punishment to players who used shields, which included me on that first run. There was a point where enemies were doing too much damage even when I was blocking. Like they'd take out my whole stamina bar in a single hit, that I did eventually give up on using a shield at all. But for most of my playthrough, I used a shield. I had long since dropped it by the time I got to Malenia, but had I still been used to using parries and shield counters, I would have had an even harder time against Malenia. I like it when bosses are easier for certain builds. Like Estelle comes to mind. Estelle seems kind of purpose-built for a mage build to fight. I had a really hard time with him as a melee build, but I can totally see how he's manageable and maybe even easy as a mage. That's fine. Same thing with the Fire Giant, kind of has this too. You try to get up close to him, and the camera is your worst enemy in that fight as a melee build. But as a ranged build, you can actually kind of stay back right around on Torrent and bombard him with magic bullshit in the face. Um, so that's a fight that's easier arranged. Meanwhile, a lot of the mini bosses, I think, and I've kind of experienced this playing around with my mage build, a lot of the smaller bosses and tougher general enemies are a pain in the ass to fight as a mage. Like, there's a pair of demi-human chiefs in one of the first dungeons you have access to, the coastal caves. It's right near the start, and I did that very early on in my first playthrough as a melee build with a sword and shield, and I absolutely annihilated them. This was like at level 10 or 11. I was able to just absolutely body them. As a mage, they're fast enough to where you kind of need a shield to kind of kite them and keep them from overwhelming you with, because there's also like a lot of demi-human underlings in that same boss arena. I had a lot harder time as a mage at a higher level than I was when I beat them originally. That kind of fascinated me because magic is supposed to be kind of like the easy mode, and this is I love this about Elden Ring. I love how you can kind of choose your own difficulty based on your loadout, based on how much you really think about where you're putting in stats, what weapons you're using, what weapons you want to use, what items you're using, what talisman, outfit, the whole works. I love that. I don't like it when it's the opposite, where it's purposely punishing you for having a certain play style. You cannot beat Malenia with the shield. I'm sure you can if you like have maxed out strength and dexterity and faith or arcane or intelligence or whatever boost your weapon will scale to or scale with. But it's generally speaking impossible because every time you block, she recovers health. That I think is unfair. That's not fun for me. What else about Malenia is kind of bullshit? A Scarlet Rot, but that's only in her second phase, and honestly, I don't think I ever had the Scarlet Rot meter fill up more than halfway fighting her in my like 40 or 50 attempts before I finally beat her. So that's kind of a non-issue, but it is a gimmick that you have to be aware of with that second phase. Waterfowl Dance is worse than the Life Heal. Like, if I had to take away one of her gimmicks, it would be the Waterfowl Dance. Because not only can it replenish basically her whole health, because it destroys you, it'll completely massacre your whole life bar. She can opt into it at any time she wants. She has unlimited poise when she goes to do it, and it clears the entire arena. And I keep being told that you roll away from the first strike, roll into the second strike, and then away from the third strike. First of all, that's 3 rolls that use up stamina that you might not have because she started it when you were mid-attack. Second, I have not seen a single person dodge that consistently. None of the... I could never do it. People I've seen solo her were never able to consistently do it. People that I summoned to help me were never able to consistently do it. The legend himself let me solo her, occasionally gets hit by it. That in a couple of the clips I've seen. The timing is so frame perfect that you cannot do it with the input delay. Because Elden Ring has input delays, as do all of FromSoft's Souls series games. Let's see. Let's catch up on some chats. 60 vigor is the minimum. The scaling is way off from their old games. Their damage is a bit overturned. But it also promoted the open world design in order to build yourself up to overcome it. Yeah, I agree with that, Fallen Red. Um, and I kind of made mention of that. Uh, but I don't see any harm in toning down some of the damage on some of those attacks. Even if it is in the late game. Um, Now, Malenia is the most difficult boss in Elden Ring, but I wouldn't call her the most bullshit because she's completely optional. And not only is she optional, she's pretty far the fuck out of the way. Like, in order to get to her, you have to either glitch to the concentrated snowfield, or you have to get two halves of a secret medallion. One of them can only be accessed in a secluded village in Liurnia that's underneath the plateau area that you can get to on Ronnie's quest line. The other one is in Castle Sol, which is in the mountaintop of the giant, so you already have to have beaten Morgott in order to get to it. And then it's on this out-of-the-way path, far away from any of the main area stuff you have to do in the mountaintop of the giants. That's how you get to Castle Sol or whatever. And then you have to get through Castle Sol, which is a very difficult medium-sized dungeon in its own right. And you have to beat its boss, Commander Niall, who is a pretty difficult boss. Considering his pedigree, I was expecting him to be a lot weaker. But he kicked my ass more times than I would care to admit. He beat me more than a lot of the main story bosses. He beat me more than Godfrey or Morgott. Probably about as many times as I got beat by Renala. To kind of put it in perspective. I had a lot of trouble with Renala because I kept having bad RNG with her second phase. Like, I beat her first phase first try, no problem, but then her second phase, the Bloodhound Knight, I couldn't get a handle on it when I had my axe at the time. Flora, what I mean by optional is that you don't need to beat her before you beat the final boss. You don't need to beat her in order to beat Radagon. The main bosses you have to beat. You have to do some combination, 2 out of 4, for Godric, Renala, Radahn, and Rykard. You have to defeat 2 of those 4. Then, of course, if you go after Godric, that means you also have to go after Margit. If you do Radahn and you don't do... If you do Radahn, then you have to either do Loretta, or you have to do the duo fight with the Crucible Knight and Misbegotten Leonine champion guy. And if you do Renala, then that means you have to do the Red Wolf of Radagon. And if you do Rykard, that means you have to do the Godskin Noble. So then after you do that, then you have to defeat the Draconic Tree Sentinel, the Spirit of Godfrey, Morgott, the Fire Giant, the Godskin Duo, Malekith, Sir Gideon Ofnir, and then Godfrey, and then Radagon / the Elden Beast. Those are the bosses you had to beat in order to beat Elden Ring. But Malenia is so out of the way and secluded that, like, she's an optional challenge for people who love the challenge, or are sadistic, or have this kind of completionist mindset. My goal for my first playthrough was to defeat all the Shard Bearers. That was my only goal. Defeat everyone who has a great room. So I had to fight Malenia. You actually don't have to do the duo Crucible Leonine for Radahn. I believe you do if you don't do Ronnie's quest. I'm not sure what exactly triggers that fight or what triggers the Radahn Festival. I fought them after fighting Radahn. Because I had kind of initiated the Radahn Festival when I started Ronnie's quest line and then did a little bit of the Seal for a River stuff. I'm gonna scroll back up because I think there's a couple things I missed. Casey Lorman, hello. Suspect that Millennia was a Scribe Sekiro boss. I believe it. Millennia has inconsistent hyper armor and can cancel her attack and stagger animations. Yeah, maybe. I'm not tech savvy enough to have picked up on those specific things. Uh, yeah, that sounds about right. Redmane non festival. Yes, Sakura. I believe that is the case. If you get to the Altus Plateau, whether using the Dectus Medallion or going through that cave with the Magma Worm, it will automatically trigger the Radahn Festival. I've heard that. I've never done it myself because on my first playthrough, I did Ronnie's quest line, and I haven't gotten that far in any of my other playthroughs. Um, though I guess I technically did on this New Game Plus run, but I triggered Ronnie's quest again because I just love Ronnie. I'm not going for the Ronnie ending again. I already got that trophy. I just love listening to her voice. It's so soothing. Um, I simp for Ronnie hard. I just love her vibe. She's one of those characters. Like aesthetically, she's not like something I'm super into, but the moment she opened up her mouth, I was in love. Uh, but no, even if Millennia was required, I think she'd be the second most bullshit boss. Uh, I have a lot higher tolerance for bad things that are optional because they're optional. The Godskin duo are required to get any ending, and they can fuck right off. I don't like duo fights. I don't think the combat is suited for it. It's better for one-on-one duels, and there's just absolutely no balance or fairness with the Godskin duo. Like the only way I've ever seen anybody beat it is if they're able to like just three tap a Godskin, or if they're you put one to sleep. By the way, the first week, Ronnie's quest ending took up 50% of the completed endings in the game. Yeah, I remember seeing that. It's because Ronnie's quest, it weaves in and out with the main story. Uh, I can't say a lot more because I haven't done any of the other endings. But it's something that you can find naturally, and it's also something that you're going to be looking for a lot more than the other quests. Like, if you go into the game completely blind, you know nothing about any of the endings whatsoever, you will eventually run into Ronnie at the Church of Ella or whatever as soon as you get Torrent. Uh, and you will get the bell because at that point that's the only blacksmith you know. So, and also I at least for me it was the only merchant. So anytime that you're looking to buy something or sell something or upgrade your weapon, you're gonna go back to that church and you're going to run into Ronnie. And then you're gonna be looking for her. And she's not that difficult to find. It takes a little bit of time to get through Caria Manor because those hands can Uh, and then it's pretty well directed, at least for the first part. You know, she tells you to go to Sealford River with Blythe. Says Mistwood Ruin well. I managed to find it actually right before I started Ronnie's quest. I was grinding out a level to make Caria Manor easier. I'd already reached Caria Manor. I was already going through it. I also used a walkthrough. I have no shame. I don't have the free time in my day-to-day routine to figure all that stuff out on my own, especially with how cryptic FromSoft games are. Uh, Especially with how you have to initiate dialogue multiple times, which I can't think of a single other, I'll say, developer. I can't think of a single other developer that has done that in the last 25 years. There's no quest log, no way to keep track of your quests that you're doing, no way to know what you were planning to do if you take a break for a while. You know, hypothetically speaking, you start Ronnie's quest line, she tells you where to go. You put the game down for a few months, you come back in, you have no idea what to do, and you have no way to find out. Unless you look it up. Yeah, the talking to Mini Ronnie is the one part that gets a little cryptic. Because you have to rest at the bonfire, and then you have to notice the talk to Ronnie option. Then you have to do it multiple times. Which I guess would kind of, if you know a little bit of what you're looking for, then that's reasonable to, it's reasonable to kind of draw those conclusions. Same thing with like the talk to Melina stuff in all the churches of America. Uh, but compare that with Gold Mask, for instance. I have no idea how to do Gold Mask's ending. I haven't really looked it up yet. I found Gold Mask in the Altus Plateau pretty early on after I got there. He never said a word to me. I don't know how to trigger him. I don't know how to do that quest line. I don't really know what it's about. Fia's quest is similarly opaque. That's the one I'm kind of going out now, or going on now. Um, yeah, I also missed out on Millicent's quest line. There's a couple quest lines where I don't care about them, and I I don't like FromSoft quest lines. This is a complaint I've also extended to Bloodborne, where the reward for doing these quests is not worth it. It's not worth the time. It's not worth the puzzles. It's not worth the multiple spamming of the dialogue option or the talk option. Uh, and you're kind of just setting yourself up for disappointment, because as many side quests as there are in FromSoft games, with the exception of stuff that affects the ending that you get, I'm not gonna count those as like fetch quests. They're all effectively the same quest. You talk to an NPC, he's down on his luck, or they're down on their luck. You help them out. You run into them a few more times. You give them some stuff. They give you some stuff, and then they die. Sakura said you normally end up seeking out the quest if you like the characters involved. Yeah, but if you like the characters too much, then there comes a point where you're not gonna want to finish it. I liked Blythe. I went out of my way not to finish up the Blythe part of Ronnie's quest. I never went back to Ronnie's Rise. I never had a reason to go back there at all. Like, because Celovus can eat a dick. So I never did any of his quest line. I got the potion, got the vibe. I was like, nah. Not about that life. I didn't even know who Nephili was at the time because I completely missed her in Stormveil Castle. Yeah. So yeah, I didn't want to kill Blythe. I didn't want to fight Blythe. So never went back to Ronnie's Rise after going through that portal on Rinna's Rise. Father Red asked, "What's the problem with Volcano Manor?" I don't know what you're talking about because I think Volcano Manor was a pretty good legacy dungeon. I didn't do the side quest associated with it. There's basically so basically two ways that you can get to Rykard. You can either do the Volcano Manor side quest, or you can go through Volcano Manor itself. I managed to, I started the Volcano Manor side quest so that, I would be able to talk with people and chill and kind of learn more about it. And then there's, like, the illusory wall that you can strike that opens up the rest of, the manor. Now, granted, I was over leveled for this dungeon. Like, I was one-shotting most of the enemies there. That might contribute to why I was having such a good time with it. But yeah, I liked it. I liked the snake guys. I did not like the final little stretch. I didn't like the Godskin Noble either, but he only took me like 2 or 3 tries to beat. I didn't find him all that difficult on his own. Especially since the arena you fight him in Volcano Manor is designed with him in mind, which I can't say the same about the other 2 places where you fight him. The bridge that you can fall off if you mistime a roll, or the Godskin duo fight, which is just bullshit squared. But the run back to Rykard, and this is completely my fault. When I teleported to Rykard's room, his actual boss arena, I didn't look behind me. I assumed I teleported and I just had to go forward. There's a site of grace there. I faced this motherfucker 3 times with the most painful run back of the entire game, to the point where I was getting angry at this level because of how many enemies I had to run past and how much range and how fast they were. And then I shake my controller and I see the site of grace. I'm like, motherfucker, I look so stupid right now. Thank God I am not streaming. Oh, that if I was streaming, I'd be so embarrassed. I'd be so embarrassed if I was streaming at that point. I can see why lore-wise, people wouldn't like their recusants, because they just hunt tarnished. So they're not even the only organization that does that in that game. Is you also have the Bloody Fingers, the Bell-Bearing Hunters, the Tarnished Hunters that work for Godric. Yeah. Uh, I don't like Rykard's voice actor. It's funny, but it's also cringe. Devour the gods. Like he sounds like he's choking on his tongue. A little annoying. Not like Morgoth's voice, who man, Morgoth's voice actor is so good. Yep. Yeah, you're literally working for Slytherin in that side quest. Also, I do know that the side quest is kind of dull because you're just going to places and doing PvP fights. Um, and one of them, like, it requires you to go to the mountaintop of the giants, which requires you to have already beaten Morgoth. And if you can beat Morgoth, Volcano Manor is just a cakewalk. So why are you even going the long way? You know, just do Volcano Manor. If you do the Rikuzen side quest, then you're replacing a pretty good legacy dungeon with a pretty boring side quest. So I can see why people would have an issue with that. Like imagine if instead of doing Stormvale Castle, which is my favorite legacy dungeon in the game, like they really put their best foot forward on that one. If instead of doing Stormvale Castle to get to Godric, you had to light all these beacons around Limgrave or something. Maybe if you could talk to Rykard's head like Ludwig. Oh, yeah. I never played the Bloodborne DLC. I never bothered getting it. I love Bloodborne, but I didn't have the disposable income back then that I do now. And, yeah, I just, I never got around to doing it. Sorry, I'm just looking at memes. I saw some memes that someone posted on Discord. Kill him, Gil. So I've seen the old Hunters DLC. I watched Game Grumps play it. This was, I think, before I even got Bloodborne myself. I watched them play it. I absolutely have the disposable income to do it now. Like, I can do it anytime I want, but I kind of want to someday do like not a 100% playthrough of Bloodborne, but do a second playthrough of Bloodborne that actually cover where I actually do everything, because there's also so on my main playthrough of Bloodborne, I don't think I did Cainhurst Castle either. I feel like there's a big optional area in Bloodborne that I never did. I can't remember if it was Cainhurst Castle or one of the other areas. But yeah, on that playthrough, I would do the old Hunters DLC and the Chalice dungeons. I would also do the Chalice dungeons. Um, and as a second playthrough, I feel like it would be a lot easier. In fact, I wouldn't even be like a full second playthrough. I'd just use the one that I did on stream. Where on that one I've already beaten. How far did I get on stream? trying to think because this was like 4 years ago. I streamed Bloodborne. I know I did because that last one I started off because I rewatched it recently. I did Bloodstarved Beast. I know that. Shadows of Yharnam, I think is no, I don't think I got that. I don't think I got through the woods. Vicar Amelia. I beat Vicar Amelia on stream, and I actually did her first try too. On stream, like that was a proud moment for me. I can actually probably pull that up. Let me. Playlist. No, it's this one. Try and find it. Yeah, I did 3 streams of Bloodborne. Let's pull this up so you can see. Yeah, I was rewatching it because I thought that I might stream Bloodborne again, but something else won the poll. There was when I did Link's Awakening, I think. Yeah, God. So the Bloodborne streams looked like ass because that's just how PS4 streamed things back then. Apparently, this was not just a me issue or an internet issue. This was just the PS4 being shit, for lack of a better word. There's Vicar Amelia. Watching one of my old streams while streaming. This is meta. Yeah. I also don't use the rally mechanic anywhere near as much as I should. I'm a very aggressive player. It's why Bloodborne was a really good fit for me as a first Souls game. Also explains why I play Elden Ring the way I do. But I also didn't really get the rally mechanic on my first playthrough at least. And so I never built the habit of trading blows. Yeah, I've heard Cainhurst Castle is like everyone's favorite area. It would also explain why I was under leveled as fuck for the last couple bosses. Particularly I can't really complain much about Margot's wet nurse. I ended up beating her like second try. Uh Yeah. Cainhurst is one of my favorite areas as it gives all my favorite weapons blood tinge. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know much about that. I've dumped all my points into strength, stamina, and health. I don't think I dumped a single experience point into any of the other stuff. Um, Arcane and Blood Tinge seemed like they would be really fucking OP once you get to a certain point. Um, it's just with the way I play and how like mediocre I am at these sorts of games. It'd take me a really long time to actually get to that point. Far longer than like I'd be willing to invest now. Same thing with a lot of games. I noticed like Skyrim is also kind of like this, where there's a couple different skill trees where once you really level it up and you unlock a lot of the perks, you can basically become a god. But it takes a long time to get there, and I'd rather just use an axe. An axe shield combo, or restoration spells, or bow and arrow with stealth. Oh, sorry. Sorry, I gotta blow my nose. Sorry. Ugh. Gun rapier. That's all. Oh God, yeah. I love Bloodborne weapons. I love the action on them. Uh, FromSoft has really good weapon design. Uh, I think it's what makes their game stand out amongst other dungeon crawling RPGs. Uh, that's also kind of an Elden Ring hot take. I don't think Elden Ring is a true open world game. I think it has open world aspects, it has hubs and stuff, but the roads and stuff. There's so many bottlenecks and cliffs and drop offs that are designed to kind of guide you. That it's really like just a series of very large dungeons, and I actually like this about the game. Like, it's actually why I like the level design as opposed to the Skyrim method, where it's just a big flat field, effectively. Yeah, hills and mountains and stuff, but there's really just the hub area, and then like strict pathways up each mountain, and then also like the caves and towns and stuff. Like that's Skyrim in a nutshot. Oh, hit the wrong button. What else is going on? Yeah, I know about the bleed wheel. I actually got the bleed wheel. Well, you get the bleed wheel when you're in Volcano Manor. We already talked about that. Um, I don't think I ever got the Mantis Blade in Elden Ring, though. There's a lot of weapons in Elden Ring, and a lot of them kind of overlap with each other, just with like different effects and ailments and stuff. Different stat requirements and scaling. Uh, my weapons, I used a short sword at first, the standard Vagabond short sword. Then I used an axe, the Highland axe, I think. It did really good job staggering um the guardian, the deer guys in Sealfur River. It did a really good job staggering them. Then I got the golden halberd, and I used that pretty exclusively for a very long time, for most of my playthrough. It's still kind of my go-to medium ranged weapon. Uh, but I also used a lot of Rivers of Blood for the in game, because bleed is OP in PvE. Um, I also had, as soon as I got Malekith's Black Blade, I started using that as well. I didn't use it as much against bosses because it's a colossal sword and therefore very slow. I'd rather build up the damage and proc bleed with the Rivers of Blood. Um, but I have Malekith's Black Blade, and then for whatever reason, the Grafted Sword, which you get really early on. You can get it in Castle Morn really early on, and it's got one of the highest like damage potentials in the entire game that I found. So I actually have that as plus 10 as well. So the Golden Halberd, Malekith's Black Blade, and the River's Blood and the Grafted Blade are all +10. Then I have the Hand of Melania at +9. Uh, yeah. I'd also really like to do an Elden Ring boss ranking at some point, but the definition of what constitutes a boss is so weird. I should probably take my thing off screen now. I had that just in case I had any YouTube videos to show you, because I had no plans for this stream going in. It was just gonna be an hour and a half to 2 hours of me vibing and hanging out. And of course, as soon as I brought up Elden Ring, this became an Elden Ring discussion stream. God, my God, is this game of the year 2021 hands out? It's going to be really, really difficult to top it. Let's look up what else is coming out in this year. So, 2021 in video games. Oh no, this is 2022. The fuck year is it even? So, Horizon Forbidden West. The first game was okay for a first playthrough. It's really dull once you know the mystery. Once you have all the information, it's a good mystery. It's a good take on the post-apocalypse, I think. But once you know all that, it's nothing. The characters suck. Aloy is a terrible lead. All the side characters suck. The enemies get kind of boring and repetitive after a while. The weapons get boring and repetitive after a while. It's just not it's not a great game. Pokemon Legends Arceus. Haven't played it. I do want to check it out eventually, but and yeah, it's not holding a candle to Elden Ring. Dying Light 2, I didn't even like the first Dying Light. Tiny Tina's Wonderland, I saw some gameplay of that. It looks like ass. Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga. It's a Lego game. Uh, they're all kind of samey. Sifu looked pretty neat for a gimmick game. God of War Ragnarok. That game might give Elden Ring a run for its money, for a lot of people. Same thing with the new Hogwarts Legacy game by Rocksteady. I almost said Rockstar. So yeah, so my Game of the Year contenders, like what I think will be nominated for Game of the Year, will be Elden Ring, Horizon Forbidden West, God of War Ragnarok, Hogwarts Legacy, and then probably an indie game, probably like Tunic, maybe Stray. I don't know what that's about, but it's one of the first games that popped up. Of course, everyone's got a boss rankings. A lot of the ones I've seen, though, rank them based on difficulty. Difficulty does not concern me when it comes to ranking boss. It's more about, like, presentation, how fun they are to fight, how they interact with you mechanically. And this is where I don't think Elden Ring is all that difficult. The fact that you can power level through 99% of the bosses indicates to me that they're not actually all that difficult. That they're only difficult because FromSoft stacked the deck. Yeah, I'm not a Borderlands fan. I'm not into Borderlands. Uh, I love cell shading. I hate the way Borderlands does cell shading. Because there's two types of cell shading. You got the Wind Waker style where it's cartoony and it's slick and it's polished. And then you got the Borderlands style where everything just looks like chewed bubblegum. Uh, so every cell shading game I've seen is it's one or the other. It's either really good or really bad. No like middle ground. Yeah. The big boss ranking series I've seen is Sunburned Albino. I don't know how well known he is within my circle. I've only just discovered him in the past year or two. Um, and I don't think I've taken the plunge to subscribe to him yet, but I did see his Elden Ring boss ranking video, and the amendment he had to that, which was because he missed a couple bosses on his first playthrough. He had missed Estelle, Melania, Placidia Sax, and I feel like there's another one he missed that he had to put on there. So yeah, like there's a difference between like how difficult a boss is and how much fun it is to fight them. Sunbird Albino, I wouldn't count him as a Soulsborne person. I think the first big video he did was a Bloodborne boss ranking, but he does all sorts of different like video game related stuff. He's not a Soulsborne person at all. Uh, like just like just look him up. I like this setup. I like being able to look stuff up and show stuff. Sunburned Albino. So yeah, he's got like a state of play discussion stream. He does Pokemon Nuzlocks, the Stream of Consciousness, um, unpopular video game opinions, top 10 lists, boss rankings. Kind of scrolling through his page right now. Yeah. Malekith the Black Bitch. He has good titles sometimes. Morgott, more like forgot you were even a boss. I beat Morgott on my second try because I got lucky with some summons. There's some elite. I've seen it die down. I think part of it is because Elden Ring again. It's casting a much wider net than other Soulsborne games, and it's got so many more mechanics to help players than other Soulsborne games that the elitism I saw with Bloodborne and Dark Souls 3 is not there with as much with Elden Ring. And that elitism is the whole like oh, if you don't solo melee the bosses, then you didn't really beat them. Like, spirit summons are in the game for a reason. Co-op is in the game for a reason. Status ailments like Scarlet Rot and Bleed and Frost are in the game for a reason. If you are not engaging with those mechanics, in my opinion, you aren't playing the game right. Because you're leaving out serious combat options in your playthrough and limiting yourself as the player. Now, there's plenty of little mechanics and stuff I don't engage with, but a lot of the ones I don't engage with are like talismans. I do equip some talismans, but I usually equip like the very basic ones, like increase max HP or increase equipment load or increase the runes that you gain from beating an enemy. I think the most like niche one I had was like recover health on critical strikes. Like I had that talisman for a while. Follower said, you heard about the co-op mod helping out as well, right? Yes, I actually did hear about that. I think I actually heard about it earlier today, for the first time. I mean, it's a mod. You can't really judge it. Um, I can see the appeal, certainly. Especially if you can kind of control who you play with. Um, every game, no matter how horrible it is, becomes like a million times more enjoyable when you're playing it with a friend. Case in point, and I will show you to prove this. Where is it at? Alright, so Ruby Grim Eclipse is a horrible game. I have over 100 hours in it. Why? Not because the game is good, but because we played it together. Uh, I streamed it a few times. I did all the stuff I could with it. Um, it became way much more enjoyable with friends. If not for playing it with high powered and sock, I probably would have clocked in like 10 hours into the game before I got bored of it. But because I was playing with them, 100 hours. What's Star Wars Battlefront 2 is another one that I played a lot with friends on PS2 mostly, not so much on PC. Oh no, oh no, why? Uh, yeah. Yeah, the co-op mod is something I wouldn't mind. If I had someone to like really play with and stuff, um, then I would totally be on board with playing Elden Ring again. Although I imagine that it breaks the combat in half to kite enemies with multiple stuff. Uh, because the HP that bosses gain when you use summons or when you summon other players is not as drastic as the benefit of split aggroing. Like even Malenia became like tolerable. In fact, Malenia is one of the only bosses where I actually had a lot more trouble with their second phase. This doesn't happen a lot with the Soulsborne games that I've played. Usually, I have a lot more trouble with their first phase, and then their second phase I do in like 2 or 3 tries. Um, but with Malenia, I feel like I did decent against her in my first attempt, and then every time I would summon help, so long as they were even remotely competent, as in like not getting one shot by her, uh, we were pretty much annihilating her first phase without getting hit. Like there were lots of I wasn't keeping track, but if I had to guess, I guess I died to her about 50 times. Um, and of those 50 times, probably about 10 of them were to her first phase. And another 20 of those times, uh, we would destroy her first phase without me getting hit at all. And then she would kill us in her second phase. Yeah, follow her out. I wouldn't mind. Yeah, I'd have to kind of be in the mood for it, really. Uh, getting on VC and playing Elden Ring and stuff. Um, I've just been preoccupied. Hello, Lackluster. Welcome to the stream. Welcome to the war. Um, so I'm just looking at some of the stuff that's going on other channels. Yeah, Sakura, more reason to play Elden Ring, which is not a bad game. Not a bad game at all. Also, I think I kind of actually mentioned this in my most recent opinion video, where the bigger something is, the more people are going to notice it, and the more people notice it, the more backlash it's going to get. I think Elden Ring is the most fairly looked at FromSoft game that they have produced. Game that FromSoft has produced. Because, again, it's casting that wider net, and so you have a lot more people who are using it as their first Soulsborne experience, and because of that, you're getting a lot more backlash that really should have been there from the start and wasn't, because it was so much more niche back in the Demon Souls days. For instance, the lack of a pause button fucking sucks. I get it if you're playing online, especially if you're in the middle of like an invasion or doing co-op or whatever. But when you're just doing PvE, it makes no sense why you can't pause it. It's not more immersive. Because sometimes people gotta piss. Sometimes they get the urge to piss in the middle of a boss fight. Sometimes they get the urge to piss in the middle of a boss fight. They're really close to winning. If that wasn't the case, Millennia would have went down in about 40 tries instead of 50. Yeah. So I think that Elden Ring not having a pause button, not having a pause button, not having a journal of any sort, the having to do multiple talk options in order to progress basic side quests, recycled content, again, because it's all optional, I can't really be too mad about. But it is a thing. Like, there is a lot of recycled content in Elden Ring. A lot of samey dungeons, a lot of samey enemies, a lot of the same, like, 4 or 5 bosses. Like, how many Erdtree Avatar spirits do we actually need to fight? Now, again, that doesn't bother me because I actually have fun fighting the Erdtree Avatar spirits, and I wish they respawned so I could keep fighting them. So that personally never bothered me, but I can see why it would bother some people. Fallen Rest said the Radahn nerf wasn't needed. I've only beaten Radahn once. He didn't seem nerfed to me. It took me about 10 or so tries to beat him. He was one of the more challenging bosses, but I managed just fine on my own. Lackluster asks, what makes Captain America your favorite hero? Just wondering. I've talked about this in the past multiple times, I think, where I like a hero who is willing to kill, but would rather not. Because a hero who's like super trigger happy, like Punisher, they get a little one note and dull, and characters who pull their punches too much. They're more or less culpable in anything that villain does when they return. A character like Captain America is better because he is absolutely willing to actually chuck a motherfucker through a plane propeller if need be. Like he's a soldier first and foremost. I'm gonna say something a lot of people will hate. Dark Souls 2 is the best of the original trio. I haven't played enough of any of the Dark Souls games to really comment on which one is better or worse. I have a lot more respect for the first one just because of its level design. And Dark Souls 3 is obviously the best looking, is the biggest. It is probably has the tightest controls, maybe, I don't know. Game feel is one of those things that you can't really you really have to do yourself. And I haven't played enough of Dark Souls to really get a feel of how tight the controls are, how responsive they are and stuff. I imagine they're not super responsive because that's just not FromSoft's style. Like even Sekiro, which is a very snappy game in comparison to Bloodborne, still has a little bit of a delay to its inputs. Despite not actually being an RPG. So, I kind of learned this later on when I was playing Daggerfall, where RPG mechanics kind of exist to try to simulate real life using numbers. And part of that is swing speed and stuff like that. Like, that's the kind of stuff that you can't really program into a computer without using invisible dice rolls, which is what Daggerfall and Morrowind used. And Elder Scrolls Arena, but that game was a mess. Yeah, Sekiro was much more of a straight-up action game. But, yeah. Elder Scrolls, the first 3 Elder Scrolls games had invisible dice rolls. And I think it was much to its detriment. Because it's already requiring some real skill to position your character and actually swing your weapon. The extra invisible dice roll is simulating something that you're already doing, which is, actually measuring up your strikes and stuff. So dice rolls work for like pen and paper RPGs like Dungeons and Dragons and stuff. They do not work in video games, and that is one change that later Elder Scrolls games made that was much to the series' benefit. I still wish the actual RPG mechanics were as deep as they were in Daggerfall, and that the worlds were as expansive, and that the fast travel system was as robust, and that the culture and lore was as deep as it used to be, instead of like being vertical slices of what Daggerfall presented. But the trade-off in the gameplay and immersion department is worth it, I think. I would still say I have a lot more respect for Daggerfall than I do Oblivion or Skyrim, but Oblivion and Skyrim are a lot more fun to play. Kind of want to play Oblivion again. Oblivion, it does like just little random things that throw me off and kind of take me out of the experience, to where I've only ever played Oblivion in bits and pieces. Like, I'll play it for like an hour at a time and just be like, this is kind of dragging. This is just not fun anymore. Whereas Skyrim, I could actually get lost in that game. Even though Skyrim, of all the Elder Scrolls games, Skyrim is the one I have the least amount of respect for. It's got the least amount of dungeons. It's got the least amount of content. It's got the least amount of like customization options. It's got just an absolute. It completely shafted the entire RPG like class system that had defined Elder Scrolls up to that point. Like it absolutely fucked everything over. Everything that made Elder Scrolls special was absolutely fucked over in Skyrim. But goddamn the trade-off, the immersion, and the fact that Skyrim is a much easier game than other Elder Scrolls games, it could really be. It was my gateway drug to Elder Scrolls, even though I had technically played Oblivion first. Skyrim is the one that really hooked me onto that franchise, and I know a lot of people who say the same thing because again, it casted a wider net and was able to pull a lot more people into the franchise, and then those people, myself included, went on to reevaluate Oblivion and went back and played Morrowind and Daggerfall and to a lesser extent Arena, which I wouldn't recommend. Arena is buggy. Arena is a game that Bethesda never even remotely finished, I feel. Daggerfall is everything cool about Arena, but just bigger and better and tighter, and it just works. uh. Someone just posted a screenshot from the stream. I think you tried copy pasting the description of my stream instead of sharing it. Lackluster asks, what about Superman? Superman is the solution to the otherwise impossible problem. He was the first to kind of corner that market, and everyone else has been in his shadow ever since. I'm not the biggest Superman fan, but there are a couple iterations of Superman and a couple Superman stories that I just absolutely adore, like The Man Who Has Everything, All-Star Superman. The Fleischer stuff is certainly golden, just from an animation quality perspective. Fallen Realm, I don't know what For the King and Library of Ruina are. I've never heard of those. I just know they sucked ass in Morrowind. Invisible dice rolls in Morrowind were so frustrating. That's why I could never get far in that game. Then again, I've never really been into tabletop RPGs. I've just never had the time or a good group of people to play with. So I've always kind of been solo gamer for life. That's why just pulling up my Steam, like of all the games I have, I've how many games? I have about 70 games on Steam, and only like 5 of them have multiplayer components to them. Yeah. No, I have my own time. I make my own time. I do my own thing. I don't bother people, and they don't bother me. You know, that's how I live my life. Yeah. For the King and Library of Ruina. That's a fucking title. I might have to look into that just based on the title alone. Ugh. How long have I been going? So what else? Go back to my channel. See if there's anything else. God, I have my work cut out for me coming up here. So I said this at the start of the stream, but there weren't as many people here. I'm working on Quint Breakdown Part 10. I'm going to work on that more as soon as I wrap up the stream here in about 15-20 minutes. Then, yeah, after I'm done Quint Part 10, taking a little break from the Quint videos, I'll continue scripting out, like, Part 11 and... Yeah, I'll script out Part 11. Part 12 and 13, I'm going to have to script out at the same time because they're both covering the same arc from different angles. And then Part 14 will be the finale. So after I'm done Part 10, there will only be 4 more Quint breakdown videos before I'm done. But I want to wait until I'm able to see the movie because the last 4 videos are going to be covering stuff that'll be covered in the movie. I want to know how much they cut out, how much they left in, how much they added in, if anything. So I don't know how long that, and I definitely want to use clips from the movie for the videos. So production on those is going to be kind of halted until that happens. I'll still write and record and do all the audio editing for them, but visual editing will have to wait until that movie is available to me to download, not just to watch, to download. Because, yeah, gotta use clips. Then got Jurassic World Evolution stream coming up. That'll also be talking about Dominion and going through some of the DLC. I'm going to get absorbed back into that game because the DLC has a bunch of new content as well that I won't be able to get to all of it on stream. Then I also got the new Ruby Ice Queendom stuff coming out. One Piece's Wano arc is going to be concluding, and I'm going to have to do a big live stream discussion on that. And I'm hoping that all of that happens and is done before the end of July, because at the end of July, I'm going to Florida for a week. I'm finally taking my vacation. And when I go on vacation, I won't be streaming at all, obviously, and I probably won't be working on any videos. I'll still be active on, like, Discord and stuff, though. So you'll be able to, like, get a hold of me and chat and stuff. Hang out. Yeah. I think I might actually wrap it up here. There's a couple other things I could talk about, but with the audience I have right now, I don't know if I want to... If I want to really get it. I know I promised I would get more into detail on the stuff I was talking about in my opinion video, but... I think I really said everything that needs to be said in that video. And I don't want to start shit with people on servers that I'm not in charge of. The only thing that really needs to be added to that video is that, one of the people in question is no longer there, and no longer there because they decided to throw a hissy fit against Raymond. Barking up the wrong tree on that one. God damn it, there's more people. I've now peaked. Like, I have more viewers than ever, and I'm about to fucking wrap this up. Sorry, I have to. I'm almost out of soda. My throat's sore. My dog's whining. I would also like to stream more Elden Ring at some point. At least beat Godric. Because that last stream kind of ended pitifully. I kind of rage quit and then went to my main profile. Yeah. Man, I'm gonna have a lot to talk about my year in review stream. I'm gonna have to start making notes now that we're almost halfway through the year. Man, what game will I stream? I have 6 months to think about this, but for my year in review, I'd probably have to go with Elden Ring. Either Elden Ring or like God of War Ragnarok if I have that at that point. By that point. Yeah. Yeah, so some people are really dumb. Sorry, I always think about how dumb people are when I look at Twitter. Read Ranger Reject, by the way. Shit's good. Um, now, obviously, I'm not gonna push you or whatever, but I want more people to talk about that series with. That's why I talk about it so much. Yeah. Other than God of War Ragnarok, there's not any games coming out this year that I'm looking forward to. Breath of the Wild too, but that's coming out next year. Next year, baby. I'm not gonna do a first impression stream on that one. Like Breath of the Wild 2 is the kind of game that I will pre-order and I will ask for that day off. Depending on like what time, like what I want the day that it comes out, the day after it comes out off. I could probably hold off till the day after, get that day off. Yeah, if you need more like general thoughts on Ranger Reject, I have a couple videos talking about it on my channel. In fact, right now, uh, Ranger Reject Balog's Nest review is actually outperforming my ranking of the One Piece arcs. Neither of those videos I promoted very heavily. I don't ever promote any of my videos. I've this is another thing I kind of want to mention here. I've done a lot to sabotage my channel over the years. Because I don't want to be a big YouTuber. I don't want to feel obliged. I want to feel like I can actually just stop doing this whenever I get sick of it. You know? So like having less than 10,000 subscribers, less than like or I would like around 1,000 views per video, but that's just not happening without Ruby being in season. I kind of pigeonholed myself onto that horse little too tightly. That's a fucking metaphor. Pigeonholed to a horse too tightly. No one has ever said that ever, and that is why you come to me. Because I say shit no one's ever said. And then I also regurgitate some of the most pedestrian-ass positions, like, Elden Ring is pretty good. All I'm going to say, you don't promote much except Quince. So, this is kind of part of it. My Quint Breakdown series is the one series of videos where I put in the maximum amount of effort. Like, frame by frame, picture perfect shit. Everything else, I'm fine with doing like a slideshow or like a clip montage that might not line up perfectly well. Or just like a blank image, just a single image over me narrating. Far less scripted. Like most of my videos, especially nowadays, since I don't have time to like really hammer out videos the way I used to. My content's been a lot less scripted. Like, just going through the videos I've done. So, borderline incoherent rant about opinions. I actually did have a script for that, or at least an outline. Like, I had a rough. I did a lot of improv in it too, but it was mostly scripted. Even if it was just a first draft, like I didn't reread the script after I typed it up. Ranger Reject Balog's Nest review. That was completely unscripted. Ranking the One Piece arcs was completely unscripted. Link's Awakening stream, obviously unscripted. It was a stream. Then I had Quint Breakdown Part 9, was fully scripted. Wind Waker stream. Elden Ring storytelling problem was mostly scripted. Then the 2 Elden Ring streams. New Ruby anime, Sign Me Up, which is my most which is my best performing video of the last 2 months. That was unscripted. Breath of the Wild stream unscripted. 30 favorite video games was unscripted. Valentine's Day specials are always scripted. I always script those out. Actually, I think this one I didn't script out. I think this was the first Valentine's special I didn't script out. But yeah, so this year, so since my 2021 year in review stream 5 months ago, I've had 1, 2, 3, 4. I've had 4 videos that actually had scripts. And 2 of them were Quint breakdown videos. Yeah, no Summer of Love. I do not have the time to do a project like Summer of Love. I did not even have time to do it last year. Yeah, I didn't do it last year either. It was the year before that. That was 2020 that I did that. Summer of Love. That was fun to do, and I would like to do it again. But now that I have a full-time job, that's just not in the cards. No, I work for a living now. All of this is for funs and shits and giggles. Shits and Giggles should be the name of a comedy group. Like a comedy band. Like a Ninja Sex Party. Shits and Giggles. But yeah, and the slew of unscripted content will be continuing over the months. Again, like the One Piece discussion, which I haven't decided whether it's going to be kind of in this format or if it's going to be me playing a One Piece video game. Because I have 2 One Piece video games on PlayStation. I have One Piece World Seeker, aka the world's most dullest open world game, and Pirates Warriors, aka pretty good for a Muso game, which I've streamed before. I would like to stream the Pirates Warriors again. That's a fun game. World Seeker is really boring though. Like that's the stream that I think that's a game that I think would be more conducive to the deep online discussions on the Wano arc. But at the same time, oh my god, it's so repetitive, so boring, so tedious. Like it's just not a fun game. Movement's pretty good though. Luffy's it looks good. It's just dull, boring. It's like the most boring game I think I've ever played. And I spent $20 on it. Why is McLovin trending? Why is McLovin trending? Oh, it's apparently his birthday. Oh. That's dumb. Superbad wasn't even a good movie. Yeah. So that's probably going to wrap it up for me. I've been going for about 2 hours. My voice is officially shot. And I got work to do, and I also want to sleep sometime on my day off. So I'll see you all next time for more unadulterated media content. Have a good day.